Hey, it's Chris, Liege Games. Let's do this. What's coming out this coming week? Ignite. What do you think? Kingdoms Forlorn is ending. That's not what's coming out though. We'll talk about that. We got to that this weekend. You know, it's coming out tomorrow. So, you know, if you're looking at, final thoughts, should you back, before you back, all of that stuff, it's gonna be tomorrow. But anyway, a little less interjection soliloquying from Ignite today, hopefully. But again, there's a lot of games launching next week that I know of, and there were a lot of games this past week that launched that, again, like, if you missed the video from yesterday, that was my big rant at the beginning. Like, if you're launching a game, tell people about it. It's kind of cool, right? If people know about it, then they can support you. Anyway, I think I have literally 13 or 14 that we're going to be going through here. I'm going to try and go through them quickly. So we'll touch on them. We'll go from there. And you let me know, as always, what you want to see more of. Let's do this. Now, these first two are going to be my most anticipated ones. And not for everyone, clearly, but I think they're going to be offering, again, something different, something along the lines that are going to be easy accessibility to get to the table and get played. So, I mean, that is what I like to see, because I got plenty of other big things, big projects around me and coming. So let's talk about this for a second. The first one up is Hamlet. And I think this is just going to be a very, very solid game. Again, it has a little bit of the Tiny Towns vibe, but in a completely different way. You have more of a hex-based, grid-based system, more like akin to Suburbia, if that's what you're familiar with. But you're going to be interlocking them in different shapes and different rearrangements, and there's going to be like a mule that's traveling around activating different places and different resources that you're going to have to use to gather them in the first place to create a better village. And it's a one village. Everybody is playing simultaneously on the same village, as opposed to Tiny Towns where you each have your own board. I mean, it's a communal board as you're building it, as you go along, collecting these resources, building a little bit of your engine. So it looks really cool. Now, it looks like a lot is going on there, but it also sort of gives me a slightly different Ginkopolis vibe when I'm just glancing at it. Although you're definitely not stacking, it's more of a Suburbia of how it looks like it's going to be interacting. I don't know how the gameplay actually looks, but this is why it's one of my more anticipated ones, because it's not super heavy, but it is something a step up from maybe one of those other games like Tiny Towns. So I'm interested to see what the price point is, and if it, again, is something along the lines of Earth, that is sort of the sweet spot price-wise as well for these games, so we'll see what it entails. That is the first one. The second one up here is Monster Pit from Elzra. Now, I know this one's going to be a little bit more expensive because they are a little bit more of a premium product, Chip Theory, IV games, and that's okay. Now, this is a little bit of a departure for Elzra, though, because this is something not Catacombs dexterity-based. This is more tower defense, not really, but tower defense. Kwanchai Moria, I'm mispronouncing, slaughtering his name, but this art style is distinct, and I personally am a fan of this Catacombs 3rd edition style that has remained prevalent since that new edition came out. Tableau building, dice drafting, hand management. Those are some cool words going on, and I mean, it's something akin to a tower defense game, like I mentioned, but it's also distinctly different. Custom dice where your rolls can be mitigated, tableau building, and then your worker placement-esque mechanism where you can send your troops or your captain to different buildings to help fortify your position. Now, there are tons of modes here, and that's always a concern for me because I always worry about one or two of them getting the shaft. True solo, full co-op against a monster, head-to-head one-on-one, and one versus all. So a little bit for everyone. They've already said 5 monsters in the base game with an A and a B side, so you can see what this is going to entail. And they've got something going on here. 3 different stats. Scalable, it looks like, right down here. And then a little bit of something else right there in terms of all the monsters. So, again, I think this one's going to surprise people, and I think it's going to be something solid, something different. It's launching, both of these, on the 8th. Check them out. Next up on the 8th, we have Fire for Light. Now, this is a little bit of a campaign game, Will Sobel's baby. It's going to be something a little bit different because there's a little bit of a 3D aesthetic. Now, I actually saw the 3D aesthetic over on a Twitter thread from Will Sobel that has like this sort of campaign tower-esque thing, and I can't really describe it other than that. It reminds me a little bit of like Stygian Society in a sense. I'm not sure what the element or the mechanism is with that, but this is one of the characters that you're going to be utilizing. And I mean, I think the mechanisms themselves are rather straightforward, but the campaign narrative, the hex-based grid system that you're going to be exploring, and standees, you know where I stand. Move, attack, gather resources, fight, darkness, daytime, two different mechanisms that are going to be utilized there in terms of what time of day it is as well, depending on what you can do then. And again, it's going to be interesting to see what this price point looks like in terms of a scenario-based campaign game. And now it looks a little bit lighter, and I say that both metaphorically as well as literally, and probably also hopefully in price. So we'll see when this one launches as well on the 8th. We have Maul Peak. You may be more familiar with the predecessor of Maul Peak, the board game iteration of Shadows of Colossus, if you will, where you're a little guy climbing a big monster trying to take it down. This is the board game iteration of that. Now we're coming back and seeing what they can do with essentially the 2.0 version of it. And the best thing about this game, maybe not the best thing, but the most fantastic thing about this game, the first one, was these monster meeples, and they are outdoing themselves here on the second one. The previous game, Skulk Hollow, is the same concept, and so it's going to be interesting to see, again, like with these sequels, with these standalone expansions, if you will, it is compatible with Skulk Hollow, but at the same time, I look at it like the other ones that I've seen recently like this. Kingdom Rush, for example, is the one that I always think of. Do I need both of them? Now that you can play the heroes versus the enemies on either side, you can mix and match. But is this just going to be a slightly better mechanistically balanced one from Pencil First Games? I have no idea. I haven't actually played the first one. It was sort of before I got into my two-player sort of style of games that I played more of in the last year and a half, pre-pandemic, I guess, versus post-pandemic. Or we're not really post-pandemic. We're still like current pandemic. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. But shut up, Ignite. Anyway. I'm really intrigued to see what they can do, especially with more time to develop this system. This is another one that I think could be a big sleeper hit. Not necessarily in terms of like gross money compared to some of these others on this list, but in terms of like my interest. So this is probably the dark horse for the week for me personally. We'll see what Pencil First puts out, and we'll go from there. That is on the 8th as well. Also on the 8th, we have Motor City. From Motor City Gameworks, I had a chance to test this one firsthand as a print and play. This is from the same designers who did Three Sisters, the crunchy harvest-based roll and write, things that you would not think would go together. Luckily for you, Onion Knight, they weren't trying to, put onions in there too much. But this is going to be crunchy as well. You've got two separate boards. I don't think they have anything on Board Game Geek that you can see. But if you're really interested and you want me to show you the boards in the comment section, I can take a picture and post it for you, or reply to comments and do that. But it's got two separate boards. Each board has like 2/3 separate areas that you're going to have to be mixing and matching in. And you're going to be rolling dice and taking those dice off of a board that they get put on. And it's going to have rows and columns that will affect what is the dice and where it's going. And then the AI system is also going to be pretty brutal. It's going to eliminate options for you as you're playing, especially at lower player counts. So if you want something that is easily true solo, if you want something that is a little bit heavier than a lot of the other typical roll and writes out there, something along the lines of Hadrian's Wall or Three Sisters, this is going to be your ilk. You're going to want to give this one a serious look when it launches on the 8th. Yo-Yo, Michigan guys, doing it up. Got to give them a shout out. So there you go. Next up, we have Warpgate, but this is the expansion for Warpgate. It's Warpgate Beyond. This is a spacefaring hand management area control style game. Unfortunately, even on the Warpgate main page, which I'm on currently right now, there is not any information really about what is going to be in this expansion. There's not a Board Game Geek entry for it yet at this point. You may be able to find the pre-launch page. I'll probably try and put it in the link below for the GameFound page, because this one's going on GameFound. But the only thing they've said about it, is straightforward, that I've seen in the forum section so far, is that this is going to have a reprint of the original, but it's going to be exactly the same as the first edition. So if you're interested in this spacefaring, like I said, hand management area control game with a lot of stuff going on there, check it out when it launches on the 8th as well. Next up, we have Route East, also launching on the 8th. Dice rolling, drafting, hand management, a little bit of everything here as you're traveling across, well, a map, right? Now you take an Ignite card, and then you have 3 move actions, and depending on how you want to use them, you can get certain advantages by playing certain cards, but there's going to be some take that. You can steal, damage, or even bribe other players. And so again, as a racing game, do you like that in sort of a route style? Now you obviously have different cards that you're going to be able to utilize as you're going across, and they say flat out you're not going to have enough money, or you could even get stuck in places for a period of time. You are racing from Istanbul to Shanghai to see who can be the first, but again, they say also, you're definitely not always going to want to be the leader, because there's going to be a little bit of hare in the tortoise, because especially if you're the hare, you might take the brunt of other people's wrath. Now, this is launching on the 8th, so we'll see a little bit of what it more entails when it goes live. If you really want to know a little bit more, over on the forums, they have a link to the rules right here, and you can check that out as well before it launches. There you go. Next up, also on the 8th, we have a deluxe version of Small City. You have 8 rounds to develop the best city that you can in this civ building game. Revised rules, new art, variations of the first edition. Again, not a whole lot of info, but we'll see what it looks like. And if you're a Civ fan, you might want to check this out for 1 to 4 players when it goes live on the 8th as well. Now, next up, I'm going to slaughter this. Tiwanaku. This is the renamed relaunch of Pachamama, which was one of the ones that went earlier in the year, end of last year. I'm trying to blank on the actual time. On GameFound previously, and this is going to be the second port that we've seen go over to Kickstarter. You are the leader of your people trying to go into new lands to cultivate resources while respecting the goddess Pachamama while you do that. Each scenario disc has a different setting of terrain and crops that you're going to have to deal with as you progress through the rounds. You're either exploring by moving the pawn, or you are divining trying to get resources. But divining is not without risk because you're having to use deduction based on what's out there in the first place. We're going to see how well this port does over on Kickstarter when it relaunches on the 8th. Next up, we have Hydroracers on the 8th as well. In the early 20th century, there was a race between 4 countries: United States, England, Italy, and France. It alternates race phases and prep phases. Now, they say it's not necessarily going to be the first one to the end. It's going to be the one who accumulates the most victory points in all of the race phases throughout the course of the game. And you can choose, they say, how many of those that you want to do depending on the game length that you're looking for. They're definitely going with the old-timey feel since these races originally happened in the 1910s, branching into 1931. And so it definitely has that aesthetic and that model type in those illustrations as well as the actual miniatures. So if this is of interest to you as a different type of racing game than we've seen in the past couple months of just car, vroom, vroom, land, mud, take that, well, check it out when it launches on the 8th. Also launching on the 8th, we have the Fog Escape from Paradise. Now, this reminds me of Lost, the board game, essentially, because there's a big fog on the island and you're trying to make it to your boats, right? The mysterious evil fog. Hopefully it doesn't fizzle out like Lost did at the end of its run. You are playing as one of the guardians trying to essentially guide as many villagers, civilians, people off of the island that you can in this competitive game. We have more of a hex grid-based movement system here, and the movements themselves are going to be different as you're trying to get them closer and closer to the boats and filling the boats up further and further. Checking out on the 8th when it launches. There you go. Next up, we have Cthulhu Island. In case you don't have enough Cthulhu in your life, inject some more into your thoughts and collections. This one, though, is taking a slightly different approach as you are basically doing a Cthulhu theme park where you're either exploring, exterminating, or hiring cultists to help you build the best Cthulhu worshipping park that you can. Miniature based, but it's also a little bit of area control because depending on how much of an area or how much influence you have in certain areas, you may be having to go with the magical route using magical spells or powers. You may be summoning evil creatures from the deep. Or you may be building or destroying attractions to enhance, entice, or deliver visitors from your enemies to your section of the park or island. We'll see what it looks like. A little bit of aesthetic here. There you go when it launches on the 8th. So we'll go back to the over-unders right now for last week and see how we did. Liege is actually feeling pretty good about this one, although I think I kind of screwed up the first one here. I said over or under $3 million US, and I'm pretty sure 2.5 million euros is not going to put me at 3 million. And if I do the math here quick, 2.5 million euros is only $2.75 million. So that was an under. I think I said over, so I think I messed that one up. Kingdoms Forlorn, I said 950,000. It's at 1 million. So I think I said over on that one. I got that one right. And then I said, would terraforming Mars Ares Expedition expansion launch? And I said no. I think I said no. I don't know. Check the film. I believe I was right on that one. If not, it's revisionist history. So that did not launch. And then we have, were there 3.5 over or under games that were going to break 100,000? Right now we are at, let's see. Oh, Literati is probably going to be there. They're at 99 at the time of me filming this. and over 12 hours away, so they're going to easily break it. Sentinels is over. Western Legends is over. Munchkin is over. So right there you have 4, so it's going to be on the over without even going down to Earth Under Siege, Liege of Dungeoneers, or Solar. Well, Solar's probably not going to hit it, but the rest will, so it is clearly an over. So what are we going to see this week? So we'll do this as number 1, since number 1 got scrapped. If you watch the Easter eggs at the end, you'll find out why. Sentinels of the Multiverse and Western Legends are going head-to-head right now, 230 to 234. What has more money in a week? I'm going to go with Sentinels right now. I think they're going to keep up their hot streak and keep ahead. Let's go to Unsettled here. Unsettled has 4 days left. It's got 1.4 million. Does it break 1.75 million? Over or under 1.75 million? Number 3, we'll do... What is the most funded game next week? Is it Hamlet? What do you think? I'm gonna go with Hamlet. I don't know. What do you think is gonna be? I'm gonna put this one open. What do you think of all these games launching, or is it something not on the list? Because half of these were on the list, right? None of these were on the list. Well, not none, but I mean, 2 of the top 4 funding from last week weren't even on the I knew about these lists. So there you go. Take that for what you will. I always like the whole over under how many games are going to break 6 figures. So we'll put it at 2.5 this week. I did 3.5 last week. We'll do 2.5 this week. No, actually, you know what? Let's make it 3.5 again, because I think 6 figures is much easier nowadays, but we're going to make it 3.5. 3.5 over or under. You know what? I'm gonna go over again, because I think a couple of these are gonna surprise us. You know, a couple like the Illiterati, where they came out of nowhere and they're gonna raise 6 figures. So I'm gonna give them kudos, and there you go, because I think there's gonna be 1 or 2 other surprises that are gonna come out of nowhere as well. And then last up, what else should we do? Kingdoms Forlorn is ending. Are they going to break, let's say, Ignite? What do you think is fair right now? 3 days left at the time of filming this. It finishes Tuesday afternoon. About 90 hours from now, it'll finish funding. Yeah, let's say $1.15 million. So 1.175. $1.175 million, $175,000 over $1 million. So that puts it, about 170,000 more than this. There you go. We'll do that as the last one this week. There you go. That is the roundup for this week of the upcoming stuff for next week. That sentence almost made sense. Those are the games you need to know about next week that are launching. Plus, I mean, all of the plethora that always comes out of nowhere, which again, I kind of like, and I kind of hype your own, toot your own horn, games, send me an email. Tomorrow I'm going to have my Should You Back, Before You Back video for Kingdoms Forlorn. Spoilers, there's going to be a giveaway. Tell you that right now. So you'll want to watch that and get the details on how you want to enter from that. They have been nice enough to provide that for you guys so that I can talk to you about it and so that you can consider it. Yes, Ignite, that is the case. You are going to have your brothers and sisters out in the wild more because they are generous with the plethora of their supply. That's all I got. I don't really have much else here at the end. TV time. I'm watching this K-drama Sky Castle. It's okay. It's drama, not like the usual stuff I'm watching, so I'm kind of mixed opinion on it right now. I'm getting through the 5th season of Rick and Morty. I'm getting into the latest season of American Dad. I'm getting into the ending or the catching up with the few episodes that I haven't watched yet of Bob's Burgers. That's it. I mean, I really don't have a whole lot else from a watching standpoint. I just got to get stuff played. Like, I literally got 5 games in the mail the other day, and I got 2 more Kickstarter preview prototypes that I got to get played now. So this next 2 weeks is going to be super busy for me. I'm probably gonna have a video come out in the next day or two. I'll just let you know. I'll have a little stack of games and I'll say, here's what I got. What do you think? Here's what's upcoming. What should I play first? Style of things. A little bit inside my mind. Maybe I'll do one for the crowdfunding, one for the non-crowdfunding, because I bought some stuff at retail, which I know is a shock for all of you guys. Shock to the system. So anyway, that's it. Short video, and I don't have that much else to say. So feeling pretty good otherwise. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Hopefully you play something. I'm really going to try and get something played, but sometimes motivation, especially like after the kids go to bed, is just boo. So, we'll see. We'll see. It'll be something light. I just got, spoilers. I just got a copy of a 2-player game that all the rave is going on right now about, and so I didn't get the fancy edition, but I'm not really sure I always need the fancy edition, although this one is very tempting with the fancy edition, so if that narrows it down for a few of you, I'm sure 1 or 2 of you will guess it in the comment section regardless, so. That's all I got. Peace out. Stay classy. Have a nice day. Holy hyperspace Kraken. Check out the Easter eggs in a second. So let's make this the first one. Does anything else fund more than Far Cry Beyond? Just throw that out there. Yes or no? Is Far Cry Beyond the one that funds the most this week? I'm actually going to go no. I think something else new launching is going to beat this. New launch date, April 11. You son of a gun. I'm going to edit this out and put this at the end. Boom. There you go.